Hi, and welcome to this new episode of the Lightleaders. Today I'm with Jeff Juices. So we'll go into Jeff's story, but you're fruitarian. You see yourself as such, and you've done quite a few long fasts. So that goes into the series I've been doing recently on the Lightleaders podcast about fruitarianism, raw vegan, fasting. And today we're going to have an angle more on Jeff's personal experience, because the people I've had before, they were usually people who were, let's say, experts for 10, 20, 30 years in the area, which was great because I could ask them very specific questions more around the science. It's also really good to have people, and I know you're knowledgeable about it too, but who have had a recent experience transitioning their diet, doing some fasting. So thank you everyone for listening. If you like the channel, like, subscribe, share. And so today the flow will be, we'll talk a bit about your story and how you've changed your diet, how it's changed you, and like where you see it going from now. Basically, we'll touch on fruitarianism, water fasting, juice fasting. So I'm pretty excited to have you, Jeff. And it's cool because you're in Bali. So I saw you at a fruit shop. I met you at a fruit shop.
Of course.
And we've just had some durians before we got started.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jeff, and welcome to the show. For the people watching, you can go into the different chapters. I put chapters on YouTube under the video. Jeff, my first question. What are you grateful for today?
I mean, durian.
Durians.
I'm very grateful for durian, this beautiful, amazing, powerful fruit, and the king of the fruits, and the ability to share it with like-minded people, you know. It's one of those things that a lot of people don't understand how amazing your taste buds can be with food that is natural. You know, like you can make desserts taste amazing. You can bake things and cook things and deep fry things. They're going to taste incredible, but to me, durian is the greatest flavor on the planet, and it's healthy and it's natural and it grows from a tree. So that's what I'm thankful for. Thankful to eat it with you too, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Durian, also, I agree. And I'm excited to have you. I think let's dive into your story, a little bit of your background. I know you had health issues, quite serious ones, and you healed through mainly juice fasting, from what I've heard, from what I've seen. But I also know you've done 2 long fasts with Lauren Lockman, who was the podcast just before. So you went to Costa Rica in his center, did some long water fasts. So can you give a little bit of your story and the chronology of the things you've done and how it helped you?
Yep,
like
absolutely.
maybe start with like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can dive into those topics.
Yeah, of course. So my story, like many people who find raw food or fruitarianism, I was sick. I was chronically ill. I spent the better part of my 20s traveling as a commercial photographer and partying a lot, drinking a lot of beer, eating more processed food and candy and soda and, you know, fried foods than anyone I know, fast food. And I developed Crohn's disease, you know, severe digestive issues. And all.
What age were you then, and how old are you now?
When I first started noticing digestive issues, I was about 27. I'm now 38.
Okay.
So it's been over 10 years, at least 10 years, maybe, you know, more around like 12 years that I've been working towards getting healthier, you know, but I was never thriving. I was just kind of surviving. Even when I thought I was healthy, like going on trips and stuff, I really wasn't. Now that I feel great and I have energy again, I'm like, wow, I can't believe what I feel like now, you know. So for me, my journey started, I was on a surf trip in Costa Rica, and I drank some questionable water, and literally within 15 minutes, my digestion was horrible. And I got a really intense parasite infection. I took some antibiotics. And then since the time I put antibiotics in myself, it was all downhill. You know, and a lot of people with gut issues say the same thing. It starts by, you know, getting an infection, taking antibiotics, and then the antibiotics just destroy your gut.
So like 12 years ago, roughly.
Yeah, about 12, 13 years ago. And so, yeah, I spent probably like, you know, 5 or 6 years trying all the other natural things like the paleo diet, keto, carnivore, raw carnivore, you know, elemental, like pre-digested formulas for 2 weeks, similar to fasting, but you know, it's kind of like juicing. But I tried all that stuff, and the one thing that I was not comfortable with was veganism. I always just turned my nose up at it. I never understood it, and I thought it was unnatural. And I loved bacon. I loved cheese and eggs, and I just loved eating meat. And so I was more attracted to those style diets. And then lo and behold, I tried them all. The worst I had ever felt was when I spent 3 months doing raw carnivore, which was basically right before I went raw vegan. And basically over the course of that journey, I had mostly just like SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And that developed into severe Crohn's disease, like very bad gut inflammation, scar tissue, strictures, and basically I was bloated all day. Whenever I would eat food, about an hour later I would throw up. My gut would be like 9 months pregnant. It would be debilitatingly painful. I'd lay on the floor and cry for years, and I was still working as a pretty high-end photographer, still working. So I'd go to work and be doing a photo shoot, and then I'd be like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'd go to the bathroom, I'd throw up, I'd lay on the floor for 10 minutes, regather myself, and then go back out and fake it. And I did this for years without anybody really knowing what was going on with me. Climbing mountains in Alaska, going on helicopter trips, like just doing things and not really paying attention and taking care of my health. And so then I was like, you know what, I have to figure this out. And so I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy into trying to heal, but I never really found the information that just made sense. It was all too complicated, and that's kind of why I fell in love with being a fruitarian, is because it's just so simple. And so what made me become a raw vegan was that it's quite cliche, but when I was, I believe, 32, I took a capsule that had a camera in it. It's called a capsule endoscopy. You basically swallow it. It takes a picture every 1 second all the way through your digestive tract. And you wear a little monitor that has an SD card. And it basically, shows you what's going on all the way through your digestive tract. This camera got stuck for 4 months. It got stuck in my intestines in a pocket where I had severe Crohn's. And so in order to get that out, it was basically my insurance would have paid for it to be, surgically removed by cutting me open. But I chose to go to have a double balloon endoscopy to take it out. Long story short, they took it out. When they removed it, I discovered I had one of the worst cases of Crohn's disease. Just my digestive tract was basically almost shut. The hole was like that, it was tiny. Food was not fitting through. So that night in the hospital, I did a Google search because I had tried everything, and I typed in plant-based disease healing. And then my life changed forever. I learned about fruitarianism, fasting, juicing. I discovered the Gerson therapy, which was my first real ticket into raw food. It was basically juice therapy with a vegan diet, a lot of raw food, and some oatmeal and some cooked vegan soups. And basically, when I discovered all of this information overnight, I was a raw vegan overnight. It took me a few months to get there because I had tried the Gerson therapy, which is some cooked vegan food. But I knew at that moment humans were designed to eat fruit. It just made so much sense, Yeah. I'm never going to run up to a deer and just kill it and eat it with my teeth. It's just it doesn't make any sense, And so I really vibed with it, and whatever I'm passionate about, I just do it. And so before that, I was really into filmmaking and photography and snowboarding and surfing. And because I was forced to stop doing that because I was too sick, I just fruitarianism and juicing just took over my life, and I basically took all my savings and took 2 years off to learn about it, to heal myself. And within probably 3 months of juicing, I started to get major results, my life was coming back. I was bedridden for a good year and a half.
So that was 5-6 years ago?
That was about 6.5 years ago.
Yeah. And at that time, when you say I was juicing, so only juice fasting?
No, when I first started, I was juicing and eating a little bit of fruit and a little bit of cooked vegan soups that were just soft. And then none of that stuff digested. It was just sitting like a brick in my gut. And so I discovered John Rose. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I discovered John Rose and taking a solid food vacation, and it just made so much sense, if I have problems with my gut, my intestines, in order to heal it, I have to stop. If you have a cut on your neck and you keep going like this, it's not going to heal. You have to stop, So I did. I decided to go on 90 days of juice, and
Oh, wow.
and I did,
And Jeff became Jeff Juices.
yeah, pretty much. I had a lot of epiphanies and learned a lot about myself, and I fell in love with juicing during that 90 days.
Wow.
Not only was I not restricting at all, I was every few days I was getting my life back. People were like, "Aren't you bummed to not be eating?" I'm like, "Well, yes, but also I can go surfing now."
Yeah.
I'm like doing stuff. I'm active and living again. So for me, it was just a no-brainer. Like, I'm getting nutrients. The one thing I'm not getting is half of the important fiber, but you can survive on juice pretty much forever. You're going to have a weak gut microbiome if you do that, but you can survive on it for a very long time. I don't recommend doing that, but
Okay.
but for me, it was the essential thing that I needed to really kickstart
Okay,
really deep
so you
healing.
were like, let's do it 90 days juices only.
Yep.
Wow. What kind of juices?
I mean, everything. I started with
Vegetable also?
I started with a lot of green juice because fruit, and specifically fruit juice, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of sugar, and it'll cleanse your body. The body cleanses itself, but it will give you more energy for your body to cleanse really fast. And so I wanted to kind of slowly get into it. So I drank a lot of green juice, a lot of carrot and apple juices for probably the first month. I couldn't really even digest citrus or oranges or grapes or anything. It took me a long time. And keep in mind, I was still getting severely bloated with juicing. It's not like my bloating went away. It took years for it to completely go away. I was way better, and I was way less debilitated. But after several hours of juicing, I was still getting bloated. But I could see other things in my body healing. Candida was starting to heal. Brain fog completely went away. My anxiety and depression went away. So a lot of the things before, my chronic illness healed, all the little things that come with Crohn's or diabetes or something, all the secondary issues just started to disappear.
And so what were in the chronology, the main milestone, you'd say? So obviously that 3 months, so there was going mainly raw vegan, and that 3 months juice fasting. I know you've done also 2 long water fasts. So after the juice fasting, did you just eat raw vegan? You could eat again?
Yep. So after the 90 days on juice, I was really scared to even eat food again because for probably 5 to 7 years, every time I'd eat, something would happen. It would be painful. So I've really slowly transitioned into a fruitarian diet with watermelon and cantaloupe and persimmons and cherimoyas, just really soft, easy to digest food. And then over the course of about a year, I was able to digest a lot of things. I started to be able to eat salads and a little bit of fats, and so I basically was mostly fruitarian, but because I come from a background of just really crappy food, I was really attracted to the raw gourmet food. So I dabbled in that a little bit. I never really felt good with it, but it helped me find happiness and overcome a lot of my addictions. And so transitioning into mostly fruit, and then from there probably about a good 3 years of just mostly fruit. Some soft leaves, a little bit of salads, but pretty much just fruit.
Okay.
And then not really getting, I'd say I got to about 70% being healed, not really getting that epic oh wow, I'm healed. It's I've healed a lot of my health issues, but I'm still not super healthy. I'm not bedridden, and I feel great a lot of the time, but a lot of times I don't. And so I knew at the beginning of my journey that water fasting was it was a much deeper healing, and I was just too scared to do it. It's pretty intense. You got to just really trust the process.
Yeah, I've done 5 days, and
Yeah.
it's intense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the more you learn about it, the more comfortable you are with it. So
And you did it under Lauren's supervision, which feels really helpful.
Yeah, I had done several water fasts before that, up to about 5 or 6 days. Okay. Dabbled with dry fasting. Don't recommend that. That's a different topic. But I did a lot of months still in that 3 years of being fruitarian. I did a lot more months of juicing, just juice feasting. And then I just was like, you know what? I just got to surrender. I spent probably 6 months just really learning about water fasting, and then kind of one day I was just like, you know what? I'm over it. I need to do this right now. And within 2 days of deciding to do it, I shaved my head, booked a ticket to Costa Rica. I called Lauren. I was like, hey, you got any spots? He's like, yeah, come on. And within 2 days, I was fasting. And my first fast was in Costa Rica, and it was for 19 days. And, you know, that was the second biggest thing that changed my life. And that was very powerful. You know, the juicing was amazing. You go from standard American diet or like processed food to juice feasting, like you're going to see miracles. And then you go from fruitarian to water fasting, you're going to see ridiculous miracles, you know. So for me, yeah, it's just been a cool progress of that, learning about the deeper forms of healing, which there is no real deeper form than just complete rest, you know. When you say juice fasting, it's not fasting. The only thing that's fasting is when you don't have calories or nutrients. And so people will kind of mislabel juice feasting. And it's actually, when you get used to juicing a lot, you're not really detoxing anymore. Your body adapts. And so then the only thing that really works is actual fasting, which is when you just stop eating, you know. Not that I'm like saying that, you know, just to get that word appropriately, it's like fasting is the absence of food, you know, food as in nutrients, calories.
Yeah.
You know.
And so I get that you needed to do that in your healing journey as a transition. Personally, I'm mainly fruitarian at the moment, and I think I had like a Western diet. I used to eat a lot of cheese and ham. I'm French. Have some cigarettes, a lot of alcohol,
Yeah.
and so I know a long water fast will be needed at some point too.
Yeah.
However, with the juice, I haven't resonated much because I don't have the issues you've had, so I can eat fruits, and I feel like juices are an inferior way to eat fruits, basically, because you remove the fiber, and so to me, especially talking more with Lauren, it was already my intuition, because I'm often about what would I do in nature where I wouldn't take a bunch of oranges and make an orange juice. No, I would eat the fruit, right? So from nature, I get that. So yeah, because you're Jeff Juices, what's your relationship with juices right now? Do you also feel not as good as eating the fruit?
So juicing, in a sense, is unnatural. Completely agree. I never got into juicing to be Jeff Juices, you know, or the juice guy. I used it as a tool to get back to health. It just so happened to be such a powerful tool that I fell in love with it, you know. And so I do drink juice occasionally. It's not in my everyday practice anymore. But for people looking to heal, healing is about freeing up energy. That's all it is. It's about giving more energy to other parts of your body so it can break down and eliminate waste. And so, yes, there are downsides to juicing compared to eating fruit a lot. You are taking in more nutrition than you need. You're taking in sugar too fast. But the upside is that it also frees up a lot of digestive energy. And that's why most people, when they get into a raw food diet, see so many things heal, is because fruit is so easy to digest. And so when you go from eating, you know, apples and oranges and lettuce and salads and watermelon to juicing that stuff, you free up even more energy. So your body has more energy to eliminate more waste. And so the idea that juicing is a junk food, as Lauren would say, is, you know, it's not really a junk food. It's just, it's not as natural as eating. But it's a tool. You know, if people aren't willing to water fast because they have a job, or they have 6 kids, or they don't want to spend 2 months taking time off and losing 30, 40 pounds if they're already thin, then it's the next best thing, you know? Most people are I'm gnarly. I'm like very gnarly with what I'm willing to do. And I was scared to water fast. Going through the process, it's really not that bad. My experience was brutal. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was worth it. But most people aren't there, you know? So juicing is one of those things that's like, you can still get so many amazing things accomplished with cleansing and healing that you don't have to take your life off. You don't have to stop. One of the amazing parts of water fasting is that you get results way faster because you're going into ketosis. Your body's, it's only operating on eating up toxins and converting those into energy and fat. And a little bit of muscle, but...
For example, for me personally, would you see a place for juice fasting? Because my current thinking is my usual way is to eat fruits. I might as well have them in the pure natural way. And if I need to do more healing, I'll go water fasting. But then I don't really see the place of juice fasting in it, or juices overall.
Yeah. So I would say if you're if you're willing to do a long water fast, then it's worth it. But if you're only going to do like a 4 or 5 day water fast, it's not really worth it.
So I'll still get benefits from a juice fasting compared to eating fruits.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch it. You'll see the stuff that comes out of you. It's amazing.
Okay.
You know, it's again, it's just about freeing up energy. And when your body doesn't have to spend much time digesting food, even if it's watermelon or papayas, it still takes time to digest. Juicing is similar to fasting in the way that you're not really having to break any food down, but you are still having to process nutrients. And so that's really the only thing left until you hit fasting. You know?
And to be fair, I've felt it. I've gone up to 10 days in juice fasting, and
great.
I could feel the mental clarity and things that I don't have when I eat fruit.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're like on the journey, you know, if you want the results, you know, skip juicing. You know, if you're ready for it, if you're ready to take a couple months off, you know, do a water fast of at least a few weeks. You know?
I think Lauren's coming back to Bali soon.
Yeah.
I'd love us to manifest a center,
Yeah.
the same as Costa Rica here in Bali. That'd be
That'd be
beautiful.
cool. Yeah.
Lauren, if you're watching, let's make it happen.
Just a note on that is that most people won't even change their diet.
Yeah.
So the reason that juicing is so awesome is that it's just an easy way to swap out bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit for nutrients that's alive, you know? And so most people, again, won't ever even not have one meal where they avoid it. They're going to eat 3 meals a day for the rest of their life. So juicing is a great way for most people that aren't wanting to go the extreme route to get some living foods in them in a really easy way that digests super fast, you know?
It can help for intermittent fasting, also people who wish to maybe not eat solid foods around before like midday, let's say, have a juice in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of juicing, you know? It's not as natural as eating fruit, but if you're not in perfect health, it's a tool. You know, it's a lot of people, for one, who have digestive issues, they can't eat fruit. So either you have to water fast or you have to juice.
Okay.
And, you know, for me, pretty much anyone who has health issues has something wrong with their digestive tract. Whether they have good digestion or not, you're not absorbing. Even if you think it's digesting, you probably aren't extracting all that nutrition. And so for me, it's just it's an easier way to get nutrients, you know.
And did you break your 90-day fast with raw eggs like Casey from the Vegetable Police?
No, I didn't.
Good idea.
So I think the Vegetable Police, he did, I think, 21 days on water, and then he broke that with eggs. And so, no, I would never do that. When you break a feast on liquids or a fast on water, you want it to be similar to what you were consuming in that fast. And so, to me, it would be insane, and you could probably kill yourself.
He almost did.
He almost did, yeah. I don't know exactly what happened with his it's been several years, but he had to go to the hospital for like a week because I think his pancreas was like about to explode or something. But
actually, he did 3 months on juice recently, and he said it fucked him up basically, and that's why he went on a different road.
Well, you know, the detox journey is not linear, and so a lot of people don't really understand that when you start to cleanse, you start to wiggle a lot of toxins loose in your body, you know, and if a lot of that stuff isn't finished coming out, once you get back into eating normal food, your digestive tract, for one, hasn't been eating for a long time, so it's going to take some time, you know. Most people expect that once they start fasting or once you start going into long juice cleanses, oh my God, I did 90 days, I'm going to be healed. It's like, are you kidding me? This is just a start. You ate shit for 30 years. Come on. You know, it takes a long time to transition your gut back into like digesting food. And so a lot of people, their expectations are just way out in left field and they have no idea what they're doing. And so they see a success story of, hey, I healed in 90 days or I spent 30 days on juice and I got rid of diabetes. That doesn't mean that their body's perfect. That means that they got rid of their main health issue, but they're still probably dealing with some things, you know. Your body's got to it's got to go through some stuff to come back in alignment, you know. And both of my long water fasts and all of my long juice feasts, it took a long time to adjust once I got back into eating food, and that's pretty much normal for almost every single person that does it, you know. I think my expectations, having researched it for so long, I understood that was part of the process. And I was willing to go through the shitty days even after I broke my fast of being like, whoa, my energy's all crazy now that I'm like metabolizing fiber again and the sugar, and you know, it's a journey, you know. Like if you're chronically sick, you're not gonna heal yourself completely in 2 weeks. You know, it's gonna take some time.
And Jeff, I'd love to ask you also about so the water fasting experience. I mean, you don't need to go as much in detail as what you shared on Lauren's channel. So there's 2 long, interviews, 20 minutes shares on this if people want details. But so that was the next stage for you, you know, the water fasting. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, water fasting was really brutal during my first one, and during my second day, I pretty much I crashed hard. My blood sugar went from like the 60s, which is normal-ish. It's kind of low, but it went from being normal-ish to being super low. My blood sugar dropped into the low 20s for 11 days. And so with that, I was also just detoxing crazy amounts of things out. I tasted cocaine through my mouth. My armpits started smelling like cigarettes. My gut was just going crazy. I could feel just so many weird things moving around. And the headaches were torturous. And so the whole 19 days which compared to a lot of people isn't really that long, but I was very thin. I was really skinny. I'm pretty tall, and I'm still thin, but when I started my first water fast, I was really skinny. And I couldn't gain weight, so that's why I did. I was really unable to gain any weight. And so during that whole process, I felt like I was dead, you know, like not the whole time, but most of the time it was very difficult. And then I broke my fast. Felt incredible immediately upon eliminating, having my first bowel movement after about 4 days. And then I felt like I was reborn. My skin was beautiful, more clarity than I've ever felt. And my digestion was so much better. I eliminated probably 6 pounds of mucoid plaque. Wow. Most people don't even believe it. It's real. I touched it, I saw it, I smelled it, it came out of me. And I mean, that changed my life in many ways. A lot of people don't understand pounds, but when I started my first fast, I weighed 128 pounds. When I broke it, I weighed 112 pounds. So I looked like I was just escaped from a concentration camp, you know? People were like, whoa, dude, gnarly. And I'm like, you don't even know. This is beautiful, you know? I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the first one was beautiful. It was amazing. So many things healed. I went from like 70% health to maybe like 80. And then I spent the next 8 months rebuilding more, eating same very simple fruit diet. And then I went into my second water fast, and I started that fast 10 pounds heavier. And when I broke it, I was about 10 pounds heavier than I broke my first one. And that fast was much easier. I could tell my body was way cleaner, but it was still very difficult towards the end of it. I was only also able to go 19 days. I had to stop just because of my throat was starting to get like kind of razor blade feeling. But overall, when I broke that fast, it was within 2 days, I was like playing Frisbee and like running and working out and stuff. I was like, holy shit, I'm like a different person now. So it's the amount of things that come out of you once you go past like 10 or 11 days. Yeah. It's beautiful, you know, like you feel like shit. You feel gnarly, but it's a beautiful thing to watch years of toxic waste build up in your body just come out within a week, you know. And so the more consecutive days you go, the deeper into the process you get, the darker the buildup of deposits of waste and chemicals and, you know, the jabs. Like most of us have been jabbed as children, and to get that stuff out might take a lifetime of eating raw food or juicing, or, you know, 30 days on a fast, you could probably get it, you know. So.
And you haven't tried some of the detox stuff that, I know, here in Bali, a lot of people, including myself, have tried a lot of different things. So, for example, the GI broom for removing mucoid plaques, turpentine, drinking urine.
Nope. That's the one thing I haven't done, yeah. It doesn't align with my brain.
Okay, or the gallbladder flush, all these.
Yeah, I've tried most of that stuff. Besides drinking urine,
Okay.
I tried the herbs. I tried activated charcoal and all the Dr. Morse stuff, and definitely tried turpentine for parasites, and none of it really worked. For me, it was like eating simple fruit and juicing eliminated way more stuff, and it didn't make my intestines burn like when you drink turpentine, which is poison. It's poison. Herbs to me are also small micro doses of poison. Because I mean, the label on most herbs is say you can't, take this recommended dose. You can OD on herbs because they're toxic. And so I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, because I know that might piss a lot of people off, saying that herbs aren't healthy. But my approach to everything health now is that if you can't eat a mono meal of it, if it doesn't taste delicious, if you would never eat it in nature as a meal, you're probably not designed to eat it. And it's probably not good for you.
And talking with Doug Graham and Lauren Lockman and a few people, I tend to align with that, and it makes sense to me. I think a friend of mine who studied with Dr. Morse is trying to reach out, so I'd love to ask also Dr. Morse about the herbs and have more questions on it. But where I stand so far is I feel like it makes sense. And the whole science of this herb for that could be like almost like a fake complication to recreate a medicine even in the more natural space.
I mean, anything outside of your body is not healing, because I think Lauren and Doug probably say this. Your body is the only thing that can heal itself. No food, no juice, no herb, none of that stuff heals you. Your body has a built-in healing mechanism designed to cleanse and repair itself. And so fasting proves that herbs don't work. If you're supposed to take marshmallow root for your liver, okay, take that. Didn't see any results. I fasted, which I took nothing, and now my liver's perfect. So I went down that rabbit hole too. I love Dr. Morse in many ways. He's a beautiful man, and I have so many friends who did the herb thing, and then they fasted, and they're like, oh, waste of time. There's a lot of people who just really don't understand how simple health is. Fast and eat your species-specific diet, and that's pretty much it. There can be some complications in between there where you might need some things if things aren't working, like juicing, or you might have to take herbs if something happens. But it's really the approach is so incredibly simple that a lot of people try to overcomplicate it, and they say this herb or this juice recipe or this fruit for this body part, and it's that it just doesn't. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work. You know.
So I'm interested now to know, do you feel like you're the best you've ever been right now?
In many ways, I feel great. In many ways, I still have work to do. Being chronically sick for 10 years, eating Skittles and drinking 10 sodas a day for 25 years, I'm not done yet. I'm getting close. I probably have one, maybe two more fasts, and then I'll be in probably perfect health. But, I still break out my skin when I eat too high of fat, if I overeat durian, or if I have, if I eat too much. I feel sluggish and slow, which most even healthy people will feel. But
I thought about it because we had durian before the podcast, and I was like, that's probably not the best preparation.
I agree. But, it's one of those things that's I feel better than I've ever felt. And compared to most people, I probably feel better than you. I'm still thin. I weigh about 150 pounds, and I'm 6'2", so I'm still thin. I'm also recovering from a really brutal knee injury. And so my plan, I'm 38, so my plan is to be in perfect, amazing health by the age of 40. So I have almost 2 years to do it. I'm going to do another fast in about 5 months. And then after that, hopefully I'll either be able to be done with long fasting, or spend a lot of time rebuilding over 6 months and then do another one. My goal is 40. I'm pretty goal oriented, and I don't really like to put dates or timelines to anything. I kind of just let my body do its thing. But if I were to just look at my timeline of how much more healing I need to do to be literally, look at that dude, he looks beautiful and perfectly healthy, and be like, okay, probably 2 more years.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I've had a few interviews with people who do it pretty well. Eli Martier, Brian Mirabella. Do you know Josh X also?
No.
Yeah, he's like mainly fruitarian and bodybuilder too.
Yeah. Nice.
He's growing a lot of muscle. Very like nice energy too.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. A lot of people like don't realize that another element to health is the exercise and the mindful practice of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in many ways my physical body is getting much cleaner and healthier, but I'm still healing my indoctrination of 30 plus years of mainstream news and, you know, education and porn and women and dating and my relationship to food. And so it's not like I did a water fast, I'm totally healed, or I did 90 days on juice. It's like, no, hell no. You know, my physical body's getting there, but it's still a journey, you know, like trying to uncondition yourself, you know.
And that's why you're in Ubud.
That's why I came to the land of healing. You know? I mean, to be honest, it's very beautiful here.
Yeah. The body, mind, soul. Here,
Yeah.
you can heal that.
A lot of peaceful and kind people, and it's a great place to cultivate health and to surrender and to just find yourself. I mean, that sounds kind of corny, but it's true though, you know. In order to really heal yourself, you need to spend time with yourself, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you here.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I'm also, I wanted to ask you for the juice. There was a question actually in a Telegram group. So now for the Lightleaders podcast, we have a Telegram group. So if you go on t.me/thelightleaders, people can join there. And before interviews, you can ask questions. So one person asked a question: what is the best way to juice? Fast, slow, cold press. So there's a lot of different juicers and ways to juice. So is there a better way to juice?
Yeah, for sure. Anything that's going to be as low damaging as possible. So a slow, cold masticating juicer, it's just got a very low RPM, and it just basically pushes the water out of the fiber. I'm a big fan of the vertical masticating juicers just because they're super easy to use, and they're super quiet. And for me, I use the Nama juicer. You can go to my Instagram and see it, but it's basically just a very simple tool that you don't want to spend a bunch of time making juice and being in your kitchen. Like nobody likes being in their kitchen. Like it's not like you don't like it, but I'd rather be outside doing something. And so for me, it's a tool. The vertical slow masticating juicer is basically the modern day like Norwalk. You know, you heard of the Norwalk? So Jay Kordich, he kind of started the high speed juicer, but before that, it was Norman Walker who made like a slow 2-stage press where it basically grinds the fruit, and then you put the fruit or the vegetables into like some cheesecloths, and basically it pushes the liquid through the fiber out the cheesecloth. So it's left with basically a beautiful tasting juice that has no fiber. But it takes forever. It's super messy. The machine weighs like, I don't know, 60 pounds or something. And so the new juicers they're just very easy to use, and yeah.
Okay, that's good. Also I wanted to ask you, what are your favorite influencers in the field?
Well, I think the one guy who really inspired me, who was just so relatable, was Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator on YouTube, who recently got booted off of YouTube. But many people like Hilton Hotima, Arnold Ehret, Herbert Shelton, those were kind of like the older people, and Dr. Gerson. I don't know if you've ever listened to Charlotte Gerson, the daughter of Dr. Gerson. The Gerson therapy is basically the oldest cancer healing therapy in the past 100 years. It's basically carrot apple juice, green juice, and then like a vegan diet. And not that I even believe in that anymore. Like I've kind of progressed past that. But his daughter, Charlotte Gerson, she used to give these lectures for 30 years on detoxing. And I have her in my brain. I listen to them so many times on repeat about healing your liver and cleansing and the process of detoxification, that she was a big influence in my journey. But I mean, the main three people are like Hilton Hotima, Arnold Ehret, and Herbert Shelton. Those are like fruitarian, fasting, and simple fruit, you know. Beyond that, modern day people would be like Lauren and Doug are pretty much the two main people that I trust.
Yeah, Lauren Lockman and Doug Graham.
Yeah, who they live the diet.
Yeah.
They are fruitarian, basically, pretty much, and they run water fasting centers. You know, Lauren obviously has the much bigger place, but Doug also does water fasting retreats in Costa Rica. And those are the only two dudes who are like who've been raw for 30 years, who also understand fasting and the healing, you know, journey. Like there's no one else that I can think of alive that is as important as those two dudes are. You know, like to be able to carry the torch of the regeneration of water fasting seems just highly important. To detox jabs, you know, I'm not going to say the word, but
I actually already got a strike on my channels.
So we'll be careful with that. You know, I lost my channel 3 times almost.
By the way, the censored content of the Lightleaders is on Odyssey also.
So to detox those things out, you know, like it's going to take a lot of work, and there's not many people teaching the actual deepest form of regeneration. So that's why I'm so into it.
It's interesting what you shared with is it Garrison that does the carrot and this is like I feel that's where I'm at. I'm not saying I have the truth, but listening to you and Doug Graham and Lauren Lockman, it's almost like the answer is so simple that first it can be not satisfying for the ego because it doesn't require a lot of knowledge and PhDs or a lot of science, like eat fruits and water fast, basically. Of course, there's a bit more than that even with them, but still. And also, it's harder to make a business out of it because eating fruits and water fasting, like you can do, like Lauren does have a retreat center, but it's still way more limited. Well, you know, if you even juice, you can sell juices, but even like Dr. Morse, he sells herbs, and then there's like very specific protocols. And where I'm at, I almost feel like a lot of very well-intentioned people who have healed a lot of people I'm very grateful to, end up kind of making that specific recipe because they do it. I'm not saying they do it for the business, but it feels like, for a certain signature. That's a bit how I feel.
I 100% agree. I don't want to badmouth anybody because, I mean, I've only been raw like barely 6 years. But the truth is the truth. It doesn't matter how long you've been on your journey. When you see somebody selling herbs, when you see somebody selling juice recipes that heal certain things, you know, and then you do a water fast, that right there proves that that stuff doesn't work. It's not that doesn't work, because what herbs or juicing does is it gives you more easy to access nutrients. So it's not like those aren't working. But at the end of the day, the only thing that will heal you is you. And so when you stop everything, you realize how quickly your body will eliminate the poison. And sickness is caused by 2 things, toxicity and deficiency. And that's it. Once you eliminate the toxins, you heal the deficiencies, you have perfect health again, you know? And so while even somebody like Dr. Morse in many of his videos says that healing is a water and a fasting process. He drops that in there quite often, and so does John Rose. But I think in order for them to make money in the more grand scale thing and not really turn people off, you have to have a product, you know, and that's why I don't make a ton of money. I give people information. I do health coaching, you know. I talk to people on the phone and tell them what I'm talking about here.
I tend to trust that way more than more things around affiliates.
Of course, yeah. And a lot of people have never also fasted. And so there's all these people, even people in the 5 to 10 year range of being on raw food and having a practice of helping people heal. A lot of them have never fasted. And so it's like, how can you promote, you know, healing and never have tried the deepest, most realistic form of it that all other animals in nature practice? You know, like we're not unique. We're a species just like all the other millions of species on Earth who have a built-in healing mechanism to when they get sick or injured, they lay down, they rest, and they fast. And most animals will dry fast because they're eating a hydrating diet already. But if they need to drink water, they'll get up and go take a sip of water while they're still healing, you know? So to me, it's just like follow what all the other animals in nature do and try to repeat that. And there's been so much research that proves that, you know, fasting it's the beautiful silent miracle, you know?
Yeah, and people can refer to the episode with Lauren Lockman, but he talks also about why he thinks humans, we need to water fast. Well, and drink way more water than animals, and it's because of the things we've been eating before. I actually posted on Instagram a little clip with Lauren about distilled water versus spring water, and there was a huge like debate around there. Like, do you also prefer the spring water?
I do. There's two sides of it. You can either go the Hilton Hotima approach, which, if you've read his book, I think you have, Man's Higher Consciousness. You'll understand that his theory is that people start to degenerate and age because of the minerals, really, from the earth, which, in theory, is a very interesting theory. I'm not quite there yet because I haven't really met any breatharians. I've never really seen any animals that practice that either. So while it might be a good theory, the people that are alive who are proving that eating a fruitarian-based diet plus water fasting plus drinking water is the best way to get there. I'm not into science really because most of it's corrupted, but I'm into seeing people practice what they preach and being examples. And I know a lot of very good example people who were chronically sick and dehydrated for a long time, went to the fruit life for 10 years, never drank water, practiced dry fasting, never healed themselves, and then either did really long juice fasts or did long water fasts and healed themselves, So to me, it's like if I guess you're going to play with the word breatharian, if breatharian is possible as a human, we need to hydrate first with water fasting. There's no way to get the dehydrated stuff out through dehydrating your body even more when you dry fast, because you can take your stats, you can take your vitals when you're dry fasting. You will see your stats prove that you need more water. You can tell in your blood pressure you're dehydrated. And so if your body is going to perfectly eliminate, it needs to have a perfect level of hydration. And to me, you might be able to get to a place where you can dry fast to be able to heal a broken bone or something, but that might be maybe generations from now. Or maybe somebody who came out as a baby very clean and did a few water fasts. So, I don't know. It's a cool theory, but I personally like spring water because I look at other animals, and that's what they drink. They drink water from the earth. I don't know of any true distilled water. I know that there's theories that rainwater is distilled, but I don't know. I don't think it is. I think there's some minerals in it still.
I have a meter. And here, in this area, the meter shows 0 per million. But when I said that to Lauren, he thinks maybe the meter's not working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say that that's bullshit. It could be true, but then are animals just like laying there with their tongue out, drinking rain?
No.
They're still drinking it after it's been put through the earth. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers for sure, but I think my eyeballs tell me that it's pretty natural to drink out of springs,
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. We're approaching the end. So yeah, I'm interested for not just to know a bit like what's next for you. So a couple of other long water fasts for your health and stay on fruit, and you feel it's the way to go for now.
Yeah, for me, it's been a long journey, so it's not over yet. I've got at least one more water fast, which I'll be doing probably here in Bali in the next 4 or 5 months. Okay. And then after that, just regaining my body. I'm still very thin. Compared to what I was a year ago, I look pretty normal, but I'm still thin. I wanted to bulk up and get muscular. I want to feel what it's like to be a man and find my muscles. Most people will never tap into the amount of possibilities their body can be in, and for me, I want to experience having an amazingly functioning, muscular and athletic body, which I used to be an athlete. I snowboarded, surfed, baseball, basketball, soccer, all that stuff. And now for 6 years, I've been just pretty thin and weak.
And you feel for the everyday person, it's necessary to do a long water fast and through that actually get really skinny before rebuild muscle, because there's
Absolutely.
a bit of an ego death going with that.
Well,
for a man,
there's a huge ego, and most people look at somebody like the way I looked a year ago and be like, weakling. Like, obviously it's because you're eating fruit, and it's like, well, I just did a 3-week almost water fast. I lost a lot of weight, and I have 10 years of chronic illness. So you have to let go of your ego in order to heal. You have to let go of the theory that you need to maintain weight. your body is capable of surviving on its own tissues for months if you're at a normal weight. And so in order to really eliminate the stuff that we have been ingesting through chemtrails and the jabs and the food and the exhaust pipes, you got to spend some time fasting. To me, it's just a no-brainer. If you're really, truly looking for health, start your journey juicing, you know, like get into raw foods and juicing and getting more hydrating nutrition into your body. But then dabble with water fasting. You'll experience some beautiful things. Not only will you see elimination, unlike eating fruit or juicing, but if you really take time off from eating and spend time with yourself and close your eyes and rest, you'll see your personality will come back. You'll be re-inspired, you know, like inspiration comes when you have time to think in your own mind and to rest, you know.
Do you feel it could be a problem to become too pure to live in this world and then become sick every time there's a little bit of an exhaust or...
That's a really good question. Too sensitive. Yeah. I mean, I think no. Like, if we're so pure, then your body will tell you, like, hey, you don't want to live in New York City. Yeah. It will dictate where you go. And so as my journey progresses, it's like, okay, I'm moving away from the cities, trying to get into the jungle more. And I think, you know, like, we both don't really know what's being sprayed on the earth. So to find pure paradise, is it still possible? I don't know. That's the goal, is to find pure paradise. Bali seems much closer than San Diego, you know. So I like the idea of being perfectly pure and clean and not having to like fast anymore. But I think having the tool of fasting, like say I do get healthy and perfectly clean after 1 or 2 more fasts, I might do a yearly 5-day fast just because I'm still driving a scooter behind exhaust pipes. Yeah. You know, like you need to give your body time to eliminate. And so the more chances you give it to rest and eliminate this stuff, the more long-term healthy you'll be. And I think the theory that you'll be skinny if you keep practicing this, it's bullshit. Once your body's clean, you don't really need as much fuel to maintain weight as you used to. And so I do like the idea of being able to live more off of prana and breath than food. Will a human ever get there in my lifetime? I don't know. Will a human ever get there in my lifetime and actually have muscle to enough where they can walk? I don't know. I haven't seen anyone. I haven't seen that evidence yet. But for me, it's just about like me in this lifetime getting my body back to working perfectly. And then, yeah.
Yeah, and I got information off the records by people I've interviewed before, and people that a lot of the people who claim to be breatharians are actually not so much, you know. And I'd love to have a discussion with Elito Melamin, for example. And there's I can't remember. There's a famous one, in Australia, but often there's records of them seeing them like eat sometime every day.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fakeness to be had hiding behind a camera and seeing people on YouTube or Instagram, and so it's like we don't really know what's going on. The theory is there, it's cool, but when I look at monkeys that look like me, they're eating food. I don't know, maybe we fell from grace pretty hard and we were the unique creature on earth, and we did come here as gods and kings, surviving off of nothing but prana and air. But I love fruit. It's beautiful and colorful. Bananas, cherimoyas, apples, oranges, grapes, champion durian, like my mouth salivates when I look at that. So how can that not be a symptom of wanting to eat, you know? So, cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I want to keep it under an hour, but it's been a real pleasure to have you and share a bit more. Do you have a last word for the listener?
I mean, play around with your health, you know, like play with eating fruit for a week, you know, like if a lot of people are probably into meditation and breath work and stuff, that's just one part of it. You know, that's an important piece, finding your breath and finding calmness inside of you. But the diet is our fuel. You know, like the number one most important thing you need really is sleep and air. But second to that is food. And if you're not eating a clean fuel source, then you don't really know what your body's capable of. And so it's like spend a week on fruit. If you've never done it, try it out, and you'll probably be pretty astonished at how good you feel. And if you think a lot of things about fruit that the mainstream media says, and most of it's not true. You know, I've healed almost all my conditions with eating a fruit-based diet, juicing, and water fasting, and a year ago, people were like, "You're gonna die," and here I am, like pretty much thriving. So, eat fruit, eat fruit, fast, live long.
Cool. Well, congratulations on that, Jeff, and thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you to everyone who listened. You can like, share, subscribe if you want to encourage the Lightleaders podcast channel, and join our Telegram group